Good morning. The Committee on Parole is called to order. We're currently at David Wade Correctional Center. My name is Pearl Wise. To my left is Mr. Roche. To my right is Mr. Freeman. We comprise your panel. Let me explain the process to you, sir. I'm going to read some information afterwards. We're going to conduct the interview with you, starting with Mr. Roche. After we finish our interview, you have quite a few visitors here. We're going to give them an opportunity to speak. And then once all the visitors have spoken, we got their input. We're going to hear from the warden, get his input. And at the conclusion of all the testimony, you'll make the final statements. And after you make your statements, then we'll vote. Let me go ahead and call out for the records the ones I have as visitors today. And we have Kenny Myers with Louisiana Parole Project not speaking. We have Robert Lancaster, your attorney, he is speaking. We have Betty Spears, your mother, she's speaking. We have Nathan Spears, who is with Miss Betty. He would not be speaking, that's your stepfather. We also have Naisha Beal, your sister, she's speaking. And we also have Michael Moore, a family friend, who's not going to be speaking. And Angela Phillips, your first cousin. Everyone is participating by Zoom. In our position, we have Derek Johnson with the ADA's office. He will be speaking. He's also speaking via Zoom. And at the appropriate time, we have everybody give their testimony. So, sir, call out your name and DOC number for the record.
Larry McClinton, 315102.
Yes, sir.
Warden Goodwin, do we need to go on the record with who's here at David Wade as well?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Would you do that at this time?
Yes, ma'am. Warden Goodwin, David Wade, Warden.
Brian Kimball, David Wade Warden.
Kristen Harper, classification.
Colonel Malcolm. That's everybody, Ms. Pearl.
All right, thank you, Ward, for keeping me straight. You know, I'm not usually in this chair. Thank you. So let me go ahead and read the information for the record. We'll start our interview. Your name is Larry Joseph McClinton. Your DOC number is 315102.
Yes, ma'am.
You're listed as a first offender. Your current offenses are first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and manslaughter. Your total DOC time is listed as life. Your parole eligibility date shows 9/3 of 2018. You do not earn good time. And again, your full term date is life. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, listen to Mr. Roche, answer his question.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Good morning, Mr. McClinton.
How you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Excellent. Mr. McClinton, this is your second or third hearing.
This is my second hearing, sir.
And that first hearing was on October 10th, 2019.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that right? And you were eligible to reapply in 2021. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So why did you apply in 2021?
In 21, sir, I seek to get a better perspective of the classes that we had taken. I wanted to kind of take the classes again to get a better perspective.
It wasn't because of all the write-ups you had after the last year?
That was because of the perspective, sir. Yes, sir. I wanted to get a better perspective. I had
And
slipped
if you
from grades.
applied in 21, you would have been automatically denied.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't show a sign of maturity on your part. After the last hearing, you were denied basically on victim opposition, law enforcement opposition, and a disciplinary conduct that was unacceptable. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you proceeded in the next 12 months to have at least 4 or 5 write-ups. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So it started off being very honest with everyone at this hearing. That does not show a sign of maturity. Now,
No, sir. That's not a sign of maturity.
at the time of your hearing last time, you were taking the program Thinking for a Change. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you finished that program in November of 2019. And that was about a month after the hearing.
Yes, sir.
So tell me about the programs, the good time programs. I know you have a serve safe certificate. I know about that. But tell me the good time programs that you've enrolled in after the last hearing and completed.
The good time programs that I signed up for, again, were anger management, risk management, thinking for a change.
Okay, no. Listen to my question, Mr. McClinton. Tell me the good time programs that you enrolled in after October 10th, 2019.
After 2019.
After
Yeah,
2019.
after 2019, you want some after that date.
I enrolled in AA. I enrolled in risk management, and I enrolled in anger management.
Okay. And when did you complete anger management?
For here, being that I've already completed it, they've allowed me to use my situation to speak to some of the younger guys, helping to facilitate it. I do that on Friday evenings.
Mr. McClinton, you hadn't answered my question. What other programs have you enrolled in and completed since October of 2019?
That was it, sir.
Okay, so
No other ones.
you've not completed any programs since your last hearing, except
Correct.
they changed and that you were enrolled in that class at the time of your hearing. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Now, I was not on your panel last time, so I need you to give me the details of why you assaulted Angela Doggons and you murdered her mother. Tell me what happened and why did it happen?
Sir, a friend of mine, we went to Angela's house. She used to purchase, she was over 21, so she used to purchase alcohol for us because we were teenagers, we couldn't purchase alcohol. And we would skip school and go by her trailer and drink during the time we were supposed to be in school. At that time, my friend and Angela got into an argument and he ended up leaving. I took my friend's side and then she and I started arguing. And at that time, yes, sir, I assaulted her with a .25 pistol.
You were in high school, why did you have a pistol?
Just trying to be cool, trying to hang out.
Okay. So you had a verbal disagreement, and before it turned into a physical altercation, you pulled out a gun and you shot.
Well, I was brandishing the weapon, like I was, a bad person, like a gangster.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, sir, I shot.
And why did you shoot her mother?
I was startled. They had like a curtain separating parts of the trailer. and she ran inside the curtain. I'm saying it like yesterday, she ran directly inside the curtain.
So you shot her in the left jaw and it went through her larynx and she was disabled from that point on. Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
So you've sketched out the murder of Angela and the disabling of Nedra. Why did you kill your girlfriend or your ex-girlfriend, Lavella Green?
She and I were coming from a party in Alexandria, and we were trying to decide on whether we were gonna go to a party in Grant Parish or the one in Pineville. I wanted to go to the one in Pineville. She was trying to go to the one in Grant Parish. We was actually on that Grant Parish Road going toward that way. Sir, she and I were arguing, and I ended up trying to grab the steering wheel. She put a foot on the brakes, which made us both go forward. Hold on, excuse me, sir. Before that time there, I had pulled out the 25 and told her to stop. We going the other way.
Oh, you had to pull out a gun to encourage her to go to a party that you wanted to go to?
Yeah, because she wanted to go to the one in Grant Parish. I was trying to go to the one in Pineville, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. McClinton. Mr. McClinton, let's discuss your 5 Class B write-ups since your last hearing. And 1 second, let me get to that page. So the reason that you were denied last time, that you had a contraband write-up in April 2017. You had one you had 2 in February of 17. What was the contraband?
Cell phone, sir.
All 3 occasions?
Yes, sir.
Now, you had a hearing in 2019, and you were denied because of a disciplinary conduct write-up for a cell phone. And you had strong victim opposition, and you had tremendous amount of law enforcement opposition. So a mature person would say, I've been denied my freedom because I can't follow the rules. And then the year after, you proceed to get 3 contraband write-ups. What were those contraband write-ups for?
Cell phone, sir, and money.
Cell phone. Okay, what was the 30D for?
The 30D was a unprofessional relationship.
And who did you have that relationship with?
It was with a staff member, sir.
Another sign of immaturity. What was the 30D for?
The 30X was for the cell phone. It was an account to pay for the cell phone. To use the cell phone to pay the bill.
Okay. So basically, less than 2 or 3 months after that hearing, you proceeded to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 disciplinary write-ups. And you hadn't enrolled in any kind of programs since the last hearing.
That's
Is
correct, sir.
all- That is correct. So let me get back 1 second. And I'm reading the reasons that you were denied. You had law enforcement opposition, you had victim opposition, and disciplinary write-ups. So besides those 5 write-ups, you have a total of 75 write-ups in 30 years. So your write-ups span throughout your incarceration. So you still have opposition to the DA's office and Grant and Rapides parishes. Both have submitted very strong letters of opposition. You have opposition from the sheriff's office and Grant and Rapides Parish. The chief of police of Pineville, Louisiana, is adamantly opposed, and he submitted a very strong letter of opposition. And you have adamant opposition from the family of the victim. So nothing has changed since last time. You have opposition from law enforcement, victim's family, and you still have a disciplinary conduct, even though it's been almost 2.5 years. But after having a hearing as a juvenile lifer who knew that disciplinary would be an obstacle to your release, you still had a cell phone account, you still had cell phones, and then you had an unprofessional relationship with the staff member. Warden Goodwin, would you like to make any comments or remarks?
Well, Mr. Roche, Brenda McClinton has been at this institution since he came to us from Angola in January of 2020 as a disciplinary transfer because of his rule violations he received with LSP. The write-up that he got here in March of 2020 actually was an incident that carried over from LSP. That was an investigation we completed at their request. So that incident actually happened in 2019. And that was his last write-up. Even though the date on the write-up is March the 2nd, it was an incident that occurred at LSP. So he's been write-up free since he's been at this institution, with the exception of that one write-up he got after he got here, but the actual incident occurred at LSP. I've worked closely with this individual. He came to us, he was a tutor. He was working as a tutor at Angola, helping people get GEDs and further their education, and spent some time in the cell block. It took him a little while to get out of the cell block because of the write-ups that he got at Angola, but I worked with him, followed him pretty closely. And we put him back in a tutor position back in July of 2022. He's been working as a tutor at this institution since that time. And I know the educational director, Ms. Price, she submitted a very good work evaluation, and I've monitored his work in the education building as well. And he does a really good job. I mean, he's really good at what he does, tutoring. He gets good rapport with the offenders. He has good rapport with the staff, and he's able to teach the material, and he's helped a lot of people get their high set since he's been at this institution. He does also facilitate anger management for us as well on Fridays. He mentioned that to you earlier. I would also point out that I believe, he may tell you something different, but I believe that the incident with cell phones was directly related to that relationship he was having with the staff member. I think the staff member was assisting him with those with the acquiring of the cell phone so they could continue to communicate. This was a professional level staff person too. I mean, I'm not talking about a correctional officer or something like that. This was they worked in a different position other than a correctional officer. And I say all that to say this, Mr. Roche, I guess I've known him for, like I say, since 2020, and he's impressed me with his level of maturity. I know you said that he lacks maturity, and I know his record may indicate that, but I've been impressed with him for the 2.5 years I've known him. He accepted responsibility for his actions. He's put that behind him, and he's moved forward at this institution. He's done really well for us here. He's going to be 50 years old this year. He's been incarcerated 30 years or better. And I believe that, to quote Cool Hand Luke, the movie Cool Hand Luke, I believe he's got his mind right now, Mr. Roche. I think that he's ready to move forward as a productive member of whether he remains incarcerated. I think he'll continue to be a productive member of this community at this institution, or if he's given the opportunity to go into the free world, I think he'll be a productive citizen there as well. I believe that Larry's mind frame is such that he's put all of that stuff behind him, his institutional record. I'm not talking about the crime. Those were obviously pretty heinous crimes he committed as a very young man, but I think his institutional record over the last 3 years and the talent and capabilities I know he has. I know he's employable. I know he can do well and I think he's at that level now where he's got his mind made up that he wants to do that. And I can't say anything negative about him. The 2.5 years I've known him, he's really worked hard at this institution. He's worked hard to prove himself, and I got a lot of confidence in this individual. I think he's a good candidate for consideration at this point, even though his record, I know you have concerns with his conduct record. And, you know, a lot of times with those, he may want to talk to you a little more about those write-ups and why he got those and the relationship with a staff member. He may not, I don't know, that may be something you may not want to delve off into, but I can't say anything negative about this individual, Mr. Roche. I think he's actually very mature, and I think he's ready to proceed with life at this point. That's all I have, Mr. Roche.
One good one. I appreciate it. You've been very, very helpful. I have one question, one good one.
Yes, sir.
When was he released from extended lockdown?
Hang on, let me look that up for you.
Mr. McClinton.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the honesty. I have no further question. I just wait. I need to know exactly when you got out of working cell phone.
He moved to a medium custody dormitory March the 11th of 2021. And approximately a year later, we hired him as a tutor in the school, and he's been working for us in that position since that time. And prior to that year before he got the job, he informally assisted us with literacy programs and other things. That was part of his informal job duties. He did assist us with literacy programs, helping people get into the pre-GED or pre-high set programming.
So he was in lockdown for about a year.
A year and 2 months, I believe, Mr. Roche, 14 months.
Thank you, Warden Gilbert.
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
White.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lancaster, I omitted mentioning you, sir. Let us know how you want to conduct this hearing, sir, from your aspect.
I'll give a statement at the very end. Ms. Wise. I know, just since I'm speaking, I know that Larry's mother, Miss Spears, was going to speak. I saw her earlier and then she dropped off. I talked to her over the weekend and I know that Zoom, this is the first time she's used Zoom. So I don't know if she is having difficulty, if staff wouldn't mind trying to call her and maybe just get her on the phone.
We have her on the phone now.
Excellent.
Ms. Spears, can you hear us? Okay, good. She says she can hear us, and at the appropriate time, if I give you an opportunity to speak. Yes, sir, she's here. She's present. Okay, at this time, we're gonna, anybody else have any questions? Anybody else have any questions? Okay, we have Miss Naisha Vale, your sister, Miss Vale.
Yes. I just wanted to just hop on for a little bit and just say that for Larry, I've known him pretty much since my adult years in college. Actually, I'm actually about 32 years old. So I've listened to everybody this morning speak of his maturity level, but as a brother and as a protector, I just wanted to come in and just talk about the heart and the compassion he has. I noticed that a lot of times in having conversation with him and just speaking with him, one of the things that really intrigued me about him is the level of weight he carries in seeking that forgiveness and in trying to be a better man, a better person. And so as we all go through this parole hearing today, I just want us to keep in mind that he's still a man that is still working toward that forgiveness each and every day. Even the God I serve said, sometimes forgiveness is 70 times 7, so we must always continue to work. We must always continue to just put our best foot forward and to mentally, physically, emotionally, just try to be better than the next day. Everything that we're talking about was from 2019 or when he was from a teenager. And we just want to get to the point where we see the better man that's before us today. So please take that into consideration as you all make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for participating today. All right, this is Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley. Miss Betty. Yes. Tell us now what you want us to know. I'm sorry, I was calling you Shirley. I apologize.
That's all right. I would like to say good morning to the board, and I want to thank them for giving my son this opportunity. He's matured so much, and we really have been discussing the Bible and how God is to us. The family is support him financially, spiritually, and emotionally. Thing that feel have very strong communication with my church family, which I've been a member for 50 years. My husband has strong ties in the community through the VA hospital, and he's been there for 40 years. And we are both here to support him fully. So today, I hope that you all will allow him to come. And I also pray that God will bless everyone who attended this hearing. And once again, I thank you.
Thank you, Miss Betty. We appreciate your comments. At this time, before the attorney speaks, we're gonna ask ADA Mr. Derek Johnson to tell us what you want us to know.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm here representing Philip Terrell the district attorney for the 9th Judicial District of Louisiana. And our office still strongly opposes any early release of Mr. McClinton, regardless of any programs that he completed recently. The crime, in our belief, is just too heinous. We send numerous letters to you guys to let you know how strongly we feel about it. And I don't believe our position is going to change anytime soon with the comments that was made today, and in light of his actions since 2020. That's all we have.
All right.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes, sir.
Alvin Rocha, we have received each and every letter, and we have read those letters in their entirety.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
At this time, we can hear from Mr. Lancaster.
Ms. Wise, if it's okay, if Mr. McClinton would make his final statement first, and then if there's anything outstanding, then I can wrap that up.
Great, okay. No, he's not speaking. Mr. McClinton, tell us what you want us to know, your final statement before your attorney closes out.
I would like to make this statement to the board. First, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you again. We did the administrative hearing where you guys granted me to give me this parole opportunity. I really appreciate that. I also want to say that I appreciate my family for, sticking with me. I want to say listening to Mr. Roche, ask those questions. Those are what we call hard questions. And no matter how much preparation we do for them, you really can't prepare for them because it puts you back. It puts you back in that state where your crimes were committed. You have to think about them. You have to see them again. At this junction in my life, I think hard about how victims are affected. And not just the victims, but their families. Maybe it stopped pay. Maybe people had to move with other relatives or whatever. Our awareness of that situation is what brings the grief. Even with my family having to walk in the same neighborhoods that I committed crimes in, and still claim me, still say that, that's my son and I want him to do better. Mr. Roche, those actions that you spoke about in Angola, they were mine. I earned those write-ups and I take full responsibility for them. At that junction though, I was granted parole eligibility. And for me, after doing 25 years, 26 years, freedom was still it was just like the sky. You could see it, but you just couldn't grab it. You couldn't hold it. And it took a while to understand that not only is this real, but I'm in control of it. I have the ability to show you guys that I'm worthy to be placed back in society. I know you guys have the records, so y'all went over them. The secretary came here in December. He also spoke about programs that they're offering now to reach adolescents and young adults before the prison process. And I asked that he take my name first. I want to continue to be in that dynamic. I want to continue to be where I'm able to give to a community since I took from one. I've also worked on a domestic violence program called DEEDS. It's an acronym. It's domestic education eliminates destructive societies. And this program is not like regular domestic violence programs where you just give a cure to the symptom. We have to have a cure to the problem. We have to go back into these young men into that point where they decided to use their hands for destruction instead of an extension of their mind where they use their hands to create and to build. So we want to tap into that general area because Louisiana leads the nation in domestic abuse. So we want to push in that direction of trying to get to the heart of this here, because it's definitely a problem and it tears our society apart. Also, I just want to add that working with the vets incarcerated, I was able to upgrade my discharge from other than honorable to honorable, which gives me privileges to the GI Bill now, to go back to school and to apply to those things that, for grants or what have you. Again, I know from the record, it could be determined that I still made poor decisions. And I did. I made poor decisions, but I'm not only owning to those decisions, but I can see freedom now. And I want it. I want to, again, apologize to the families of the victims. It's impossible to put words into your loss. But I do want to say that I'm sorry. Again, I want to thank the board for having me again. All the comments made, they're taken into deep consideration and understanding. And I thank y'all.
All right, well said, Mr. Clinton. I want one question before your attorney comes. What is your transition plan for the record?
My transition plan,
plan. What's your plan?
my transition plan, ma'am, is with the parole project.
Okay.
Again, with the certifications that I was privileged to acquire, I would like to put them to use, and that includes through Ashland University and also with Certiport. They gave us the digital technology, so we had to certify in Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Access, computer coding, for code writing. So yes, ma'am. But it's with the parole project, ma'am.
How long would you stay there?
They're offering long-term housing, but ma'am, I've always tried to be independent. So I really want to get out there and get a job and go through the program and continue to work programs that they offer, for the betterment of self, and then reside in the Baton Rouge area.
Okay, a year, 2 years? Have you thought how far you thought? You think you would stay with them?
Yes, ma'am. About 24 months, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
24 months, 2 years. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Lancaster, we want to hear from you.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the time to hear Larry's second request for parole. As you know, the clinic represented him in 2019. At that time, a law student. I'm representing him today because we're already have concluded our semester, but I'm sure the committee is aware that the clinic is committed to the representation of juvenile lifers, as is the parole project, as a policy to stand behind juvenile lifers coming before the committee. Mr. McClinton committed his crime when he was 17 years old. It is a horrendous series of crimes, obviously very bad decisions of a teenager at that time. I know that there is significant law enforcement opposition to Mr. McClinton's release. Again, we don't see the pre-parole investigation, so we have not read or not privy to the specifics of that opposition, but one can really understand the level of opposition relating to the seriousness of the crime. However, the time for release of Mr. McClinton is now. He was resentenced in 2018, is my understanding that he was resentenced without the notice being filed relating to that. One thing that I think the committee heard today that's significantly important is the comments of the warden at David Wade. One thing that Mr. Roche asked is sort of what's different now relating to 2019 and the hearing today. And that is the move to David Wade was a wake-up call. That's obvious by how well he's done there. The time he spent in lockdown was a wake-up call. And that's a wake-up call that he needed. And what we've seen since him moving to David Wade, coming out of lockdown, is how well he has contributed to the community there, his job as a tutor, how respected he is among the administration there, which really demonstrates his true potential, which is the idea behind the Supreme Court's decision in recognizing that juveniles who perhaps commit very horrific crimes have significant opportunity to rehabilitate, mature, and should be given that opportunity to show that. I'd also argue that the time for his release is important now. He's 50 years old. He spent 30 years in prison. He is employable. He can get a job. He can be self-sustaining with the help of the parole project. He can achieve that. And as he indicated that he desired to be self-sufficient, he has the opportunity to do that now with the support of the parole project, with the support of his family, and continue to really demonstrate that he can be successful. So we do pray that this committee grant him early release on parole under whatever conditions you deem appropriate to ensure his success. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you. Okay. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Roche?
Mr. McClinton,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. McClinton. Before I get to you, I'm going to talk about Warden Goodwin. Warden Goodwin, you have I have seen so many offenders in trouble, and they've transferred David Wade under your supervision, and I've seen 180-degree turnaround each and every time. I want to commend you on the work that you're doing at David Wade. This is not the first, this is not the second, this is not the 25th offender I've seen who had made 180-degree turnaround after being transferred to David Wade. And I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. We got good staff here.
In the good direction. Mr. McClinton,
Yes, sir.
and you acknowledge everything I said in my interview was true.
Yes, sir.
I respect Warden Goodwin. I know what he does, and I know how he does it. He does it in a very humane way. It makes an individual feel like a human being. But he doesn't play around.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And if you're successful today, you need to shake his hand vigorously, because he's the only reason for my decision. Because I trust him and I believe in what he does. I'm going to grant your request conditionally. I need to see 9 months of transitional work program completed successfully. This is a trial period for your release. I'm going to grant conditionally upon a 9-month transitional work program where you get a chance to prove yourself for 9 months with no disciplinary write-ups, no negative activity. Plus, it will give you an opportunity to earn a little bit money and get some experience. So maybe, just maybe, you will have a heads up on employment once you reach Louisiana Parole Project. You understand what I've just said?
Yes, sir.
After completing a successful 9 months in transitional work program, upon release, I want you to have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. I want you to maintain full-time employment. And the most important condition is I want you to do community service at 6 hours a month with at-risk youth. I want you to talk to groups of disadvantaged youth and try to lead them in a different direction. You have a story to tell. I want you to tell that story, and hopefully you will lead the young folk in the right direction. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Roche, Mr. Freeman?
Warden Goodwin, I also like you and respect you, but my vote's not the same. My vote is to deny. I think we need to see a longer period of no write-ups. He was locked up for over 1 year and 2 months, so really actually he hadn't had but 2 years of being clean. And so my vote is to deny.
All right, you have 1 vote to grant and 1 vote to deny. I voted for you last time. I was at the hearing last time and the same, but you didn't have the write-ups last time. For me too, I would like to see a longer period of write-up free. I didn't understand what all was going on. Stay the course, but that's my vote as well, to deny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Fine.
Give us your name and DOC number, please.
Jonathan Jackson, DOC number 456-331.
All right, Mr. Jackson, my name is Pearl Wise. To my left is Mr. Roche, and to my right is Mr. Freeman. We comprise your panel this morning. Let me explain the process to you. Into the record. Afterwards, we're going to conduct the interview with you, start with Mr. Freeman. He was assigned your case. After we complete our interview, we're going to ask the warden to make any comments, anything he would like for us to know. Then after the warden, and you got some of our supporters here, we're going to give them an opportunity to speak. And then after they speak, and there's no further testimony, you make a closing statement. You make a final statement telling us whatever you want us to know, and then we'll render our decision. And do you understand the?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me go ahead and call out your visitors. You have your sister here, Miss Michelle Jackson, who will be speaking, and you have a friend, Antonio Sapp, who is a friend and he's supporting, but he's not speaking. They are also attending this here. And let me read the information for the record. Your name is Daniel Jackson, DOC numbers 456331. You're a fourth felony offender. Your charge is possession of Schedule 2 habitual offender. You were sentenced on April the 19th of 2016. Your total DOC time is 30 years. Your parole eligibility date, 9/2/2022. Your good time date is listed as March the 6th of 2044. And you have a full term date of March the 1st of 2045. That sound about right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Good. Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, how old are you?
40 years old.
Okay, and how long have you been in jail on this time? This charge.
8 years and 2 months.
Okay, what's the longest period you ever served in jail?
Maybe a year and a half, 2 years at the most.
So this is the first time I call it, you've really done time.
Yes, sir.
All of jail times were at the local level?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's your educational level?
My education, I'm in school, which I graduated from an E level to a D level. So I am making progress in school.
Okay.
Did you go to
Oh, I started 8th grade.
8th grade?
Okay. Okay, and he is trying hard to get further on that
Yes,
education.
sir, he's in academic school. He is in
Right.
academic school, taking pre-high set classes.
Good. Okay, you got caught selling drugs to an undercover officer. Were you a user or a dealer or both?
I was both of them, sir.
And how old were you when you started using drugs?
I say more the harder drugs is when I was maybe 19 or 20 when I got older.
Let me ask you this, I read the report, a lot of it was $20 transaction, $40 transaction. What's the biggest transaction you ever made when it comes to drugs?
It's a small amount, 20 or $40.
You never sold for over 100? Be honest with me.
I have at one time, I have.
Okay. I'm looking at the law enforcement and one judge had no comment, district attorney is opposed. The sheriff, Stephen Williams, is opposed, the chief, Steve Rogers, is opposed. Your family, Reuben Jackson, your mother, is unopposed. Do you consider yourself a drug addict?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know you'll always be a drug addict?
Yes, sir.
What you plan to do about it if we were to release you today? What would be your sobriety plan?
Well, I will keep on attending my NAAA programs as well as I've been doing here, because it seems like, you know, that it really works for me. The NAAA program, where you can open up and share and give positive feedback and being honest. And I think it is working for me, sir.
Okay. You have any children?
Yes, sir. I have a son that's 8 years old.
Okay, do you have contact with your son?
Yes, sir. I talk to him every week.
Okay, you have an arrest record back to California, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what was going on in California? It looked like there was a little violence over there back in 2006.
I was still trying to define myself, sir, using drugs and move from a different state, thinking it'd change me, but it didn't. I still had the same problems. I tried to run from, but I still had the same problem there.
Okay, at your last parole hearing, I think it was Miss Wise asked you to complete a class. Did you complete that class?
Yes, sir, I have. That was substance abuse. Yes, sir, I have.
Yeah, Living in Balance 1 and 2 you completed. Also, I see you completed victim awareness. What did you learn from victim awareness?
My victim awareness I learned that that the people that I did harm was not only a victim, I was a victim as well as them also. You know, and I learned that to be honest and and stop doing those things I used to do. That I did affect a lot of lives.
Somebody trying to introduce your 8-year-old son to drugs, correct?
Sir, I can't hear you.
I said, if somebody tried to introduce your son to drugs, that'd probably make you pretty mad, huh?
Yes, sir, it will. Yes, sir.
So you realize what you was doing to other families.
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Your custody is medium, your risk need is low. You've only had 2 disciplinary reports. And you have a good institutional record. Your last disciplinary report was 2019 for contraband, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What was the contraband?
The contraband was methamphetamines.
Okay, did you have your?
There was a positive test. There was a positive drug test, urinalysis test. Wasn't like he got caught with meth. He just failed a drug test.
Okay. All right, and you took your Living in Balance after that.
Yes, sir.
You'd already taken Celebrate Recovery. You think you need any more treatment?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. Only thing it could do make it better.
Treatment today, would you accept it?
Yes, sir, I would.
Okay. What's your current job at the prison?
At the prison, I go to school from Monday through Friday, and I'm also a dorm oiler to help out in the dorm, dealing with the restroom and in the common area. I clean up.
Okay. Why should I consider you today? What's changed in your life?
My mindset. I don't have the same mindset I once had. And I do consider what others think about me now. I used to didn't care what somebody thought about me, but I really do care how people judge me and how people view me.
Ward, do you have any comments for me?
Y'all pretty much touched on everything, Mr. Freeman. He's been here going on 7 years. He had those 2 write-ups you mentioned. He's been actively involved in programming. He's earned over 400 days of CTRP credit, taking courses such as Living in Balance and things like that. He's also completed the 100 hours of reentry. And then he's currently enrolled in school, working towards a high school's diploma or high set test. He's shown improvement in that area. He's advanced a couple of levels in his educational testing. So he's been doing well here. Those 2 write-ups he had, last one was in 2019. He's been drug tested several times since he's been here, and that's the only drug test that he failed during the time that he's been at David Way. So I think that shows that he's not a regular user or hasn't been using it regularly at this institution, because we have drug tested him a number of times, and that's the only one he's failed. So he's done well here. He's remained positive, and he's tried to improve his condition and improve his success rates if he is given opportunity, or when he's given opportunity to re-enter society. He's working, all the things he's working on are positive towards that goal, I believe, Mr. Freeman.
And thank you, Warden Goodwin. Let me ask you just your opinion, Warden Goodwin. Do you think he would benefit from more treatment prior to release, or do you think he's reached the point to where he can get the treatment on the streets?
No, I think some additional treatment would certainly be beneficial. He is a 5th offender, I believe, as record indicates, and the majority of all of his offenses are drug related, and he's admitted that he's a user as well as a seller. So I certainly think that some additional substance use programming would be beneficial, and not only to him, but to the general public upon his release.
I thank you, Warden Goodwin. I have no further. I have no recommendation for the board.
Mr. Jackson, I have a couple of questions. How would you support yourself if you granted release?
My plan is to go out and go to truck driving school and get my CDL so I can drive locally, so I can be home with my son every day.
Oh, okay. What kind of jobs have you had? Have you ever had a job?
No, I didn't. No, ma'am. Not on the streets, I didn't.
Okay, so that'll be a new thing for you too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When you were in school, when you were in regular classes in school?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Okay. Did you ever get SSI or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Coming up? Okay. All right. Do you remember why you said at 18 or 19 you started using hard drugs? So when did you first take a drink of alcohol? How old were you?
Maybe 16, 17.
What about marijuana?
Marijuana by 16, 17.
Oh, okay. Okay. And what grade were you in at 16 or 17?
6th, 7th grade.
So why were you behind? In school?
Ma'am,
Are you behind?
because I kept coming back and forth in and out of jail from LTI. I kept going back and forth from jail, in and out of jail.
Oh,
So I never did complete school.
Oh, okay. And you had opportunities for school at LTI as well.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. What kind of crimes were you committing as a juvenile?
Possession of cocaine, selling cocaine,
So most of your lifestyle has been drug dealing.
drug dealing and drug using. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, thank you. That answers my question. We can hear from Miss Michelle Jackson at this time, your sister.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Don't go. Yes, ma'am, we can. Give us your name again, your relationship, and tell us what you want us to know about your brother.
I'm Michelle Jackson, and that's, like I said, that's my brother. I just wanted to come on here and just say that I feel like from the conversations that we have been previously having, I feel like he's changed. He's a more positive person. He's a better person. I feel like he'll be a better dad toward his, his son. And I feel like as he's getting older, he's starting to value life more different. He's more, he's a more positive person now. And I just feel like he needs another chance. That's all I pray, that he gets another chance to be with his son.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, you said what?
I said, and to be with his family.
Right, thank you for coming on, we appreciate it. And we
Okay.
really had family input, family support. All
Okay.
right, Mrs. Jackson, what you want us to know, Mr. Jackson, before we vote? Jonathan Jackson?
I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, to share and be honest with you today. And whatever decision you make, I pray it be of God. That's all I have to say, man.
Thank you. Well said. Ms. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Jackson, I do think you were honest with me today. I asked those questions at the beginning for specific reasons. A lot of times people can be high felony offenders, but they never really serve time. You don't get much out of the parish jails, but frankly, they can't afford it. So my vote today, after speaking with the warden, is to grant your parole conditional on you completing the Steve Hoyle program. So once you would complete that program, it's either 6 to 9 months, you complete it, and then you'll get out on parole with the special conditions that you follow any recommended treatment that they have, and you have a curfew of 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Mr. Roche?
Good morning, Mr. Jackson. It's afternoon now, Mr. Jackson.
How you doing, sir? All right.
Good. Mr. Jackson, sometimes my mother always used to tell me, when you make a hard bed, sometimes you gotta sleep in it. You're a fifth felony offender. You got a 30-year sentence and you hadn't served but 8 years. You hadn't served 1/3 of your sentence yet. You have a violent history. You have several arrests for violence with family members and elderly people. You have assault. You have poor supervision. You've been revoked on 3 different occasions. Yes. In my opinion, you hadn't served enough time, and you need to take the rest of the time to work on your GED. And I would like to see you get that GED before you release, so that you will have a larger span of possibilities to get employment when you are released. For all those reasons, I deny your request.
You have 1 vote to grant and 1 vote to deny. I was on your last panel, and I'm glad to see that you are working hard on that high set. But in light of the window of time that you were given, your behavior resulted in that 30-year sentence. So my vote is to deny as well. I'd like to see you go ahead and get that high set before you get out. Poor supervision history, and again, insufficient time served based on the sentence that you were given. So for those reasons, but again, I urge you to reapply, stay the course, continue to work on that high set and reapply when you're eligible. I know my vote will be different at that time. But for me, you have 2 votes to deny and 1 vote to grant, so you've been denied today. But again, reapply, stay positive.
Yes, ma'am.